So today I go on Twitter to, have a look at what's happening and do some commenting or tweeting, and I go to tweet and it says, oops, something went wrong. So I think, okay, this was in reply to somebody from the Australian government. Then I try to do a tweet just by itself or retweet what they put and put a comment in there. And the next thing it says, oops, something went wrong. So then I go and change my account. I change to Faint Signals from Bega, and then I try to tweet and it says, oops, something went wrong. And I think, oh, okay then. And then I notice someone saying on Twitter, well, Twitter is deciding now who can tweet, and some people can't tweet for hours. And I'm assuming that after they put out that message just recently on Twitter, the Twitter police have decided that they're going to decide for the public what is fake news and what is okay, and they certainly do not like leaks. Like, for example, I'm sure they would not like anything from WikiLeaks, but they also didn't like the leak that came out, whether it's true or false, about Biden and his son Hunter Biden. The Streisand effect has elevated that so that now it's all over the place. I'm not going to get into that particular issue, but I would say that Twitter at this point is not only a propaganda arm of the US national security state, but it's also a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, straight up, because that is inconvenient. That recent leak about Biden actually knowing about the dealings of Hunter Biden and Burisma in Ukraine, is something that the Democratic Party do not want out there, but they've actually boosted it by trying to suppress it. And Twitter is happily basically censoring by blocking any tweets about that, and Facebook has done the same. Facebook is also trying to squash that particular narrative, that particular story, whether it's true or false. I have a feeling it's probably true, but they're trying to stop that too. Now, if you pay attention at all and you're on the left, particularly if you're an anti-war activist, if you're an anti-imperialist, as I am, then you would probably have already experienced censorship on Facebook and Google and YouTube. Google owns YouTube. And I've already experienced it on Twitter, but not to this extent, where now, like today, I'm not allowed to tweet about anything. I can retweet somebody, which is surprising. I can retweet them, but it doesn't matter what account I use, I cannot. So they basically blocked me. But I'm also aware, and if this site is actually what it says it is, if you go to shadowban.eu, I think it is, they actually show you, if you put your username in, they'll show you if you have been shadow banned by Twitter. And I'm on a regular basis, any of my replies to anybody are pushed right down to the bottom, so basically they don't see the light of day. And it can change. Sometimes it's my Faint Signals from Vega Twitter account, and sometimes it's just my everyday personal account. So, this is just the most, it's, all these different social media platforms, even they're private companies, they should be a public utility, because basically they are deciding they're basically a publisher, and they're deciding, they're editorializing, they're editing what they want out there, what they don't want out there, and they're also propping up the military-industrial complex. They're basically propaganda arms of these oligarchs. And, there was something came out about Trump recently. They were happy to boost that, even though they didn't know whether it was true or false. So, for all that I really, really find Trump to be awful, he's had a lot of validity in what he's been complaining about, for example, the corporate-owned media, how they boosted the whole Russiagate narrative and continue to do so, even though it's been debunked. And it's even the CIA, if you can believe them, the CIA was brought out a recent story saying that this whole Russiagate narrative was pushed by Hillary Clinton, and basically it was all coming from her, this sort of to put out this Russiagate narrative against Donald Trump. I think that's the gist of it anyway. About 2 years ago, Facebook decided to delete about 800 Facebook accounts, and a lot of those were anti-war or leftist accounts. And at that same time, my pages, they were small, but they were also taken down just for about a week. They weren't deleted, but something like anti-war was actually deleted permanently, and they had 1 million plus people on there. So anyway, what a SHIT show this is. And this is sort of like, this is really the way fascism starts to happen. You know, you control the corporate media, you control the media, which is how people understand the government and the world. It's supposed to hold governments to account. And then, so they're controlling that, and these particular private companies, these corporations, and they're really mostly what people get their news from, social media. Most people get their news from that. And now they're literally just stopping people from making comments now, or tweeting things, or challenging the narrative. This is real. This is not like QAnon stuff and I don't believe in censoring people. QAnon is a real problem and it's a nonsense, but I don't think driving anybody underground, any group underground, including white supremacists, is a good idea in any shape or form. It's good to know what these people are doing and thinking and all of that. So this whole banning and blocking thing is a real problem, I think. But this is where we are now, where now we've got Twitter deciding. They put out a thing a couple of days ago deciding what they deem to be fake and what they deem to be true. And if you are trying to put out anything that's actually real, they're going to stop you from doing it. If it doesn't fit in with the narrative they're trying to put out, they're obviously more on the side of Jack Dorsey or whoever is in control of Twitter, like the CEO. I think that's Jack Dorsey. If he is wanting Biden to win for some reason, if it's going to benefit his corporation, then he's going to stop people from saying anything inconvenient about Joe Biden. I think, I think Donald Trump is going to be a scary figure and way worse in that regard. He's going to really, really clamp down on information in a big way. But I mean, look at what's happening right now. It's like algae growing over. It's like algae growing over a pond. It starts off very slowly, and then suddenly it's all over the pond. And that's how fascism is happening in the United States. But it's affecting everybody now. I can't even respond to the nonsense and shenanigans of Australian politicians because of Twitter now. You can call them up and they have their flak catchers. You can do various things, but now the social media, has sewn it up now that they can decide now when it's convenient, when it's not convenient. And I'm sure that the oligarchs in Australia will help Twitter decide when it comes election time, the next federal election, what is okay for us to be talking about and what's not okay for us to be talking about.